नमो अस्तु नीलग्रीवाय सहस्राक्षाय मीढुषे अधो ये अस्य सत्त्वानोऽहं तेभ्यो गलन्नमः प्रमुञ्च धन्वनस्त्वमुभयोरार्तियोर्जाम् याश्च ते हस्त इषवः पराता भगवो वपा अवतत्य धनुस्वगुं सहस्राक्षशते शुधे निशीर्य शल्याणामुखा शिवो न सुमना भव विज्यन्दनुकपर्दिनो विशल्यो बाणवागुम् उता अनेशन्नस्येषव आभुरस्य निषङ्गतिः या देहेतिर्मीडुष्टमहस्ते बभूव ते धनुः तयास्मान् विश्वतस्त्वमयक्ष्मया परिभुजा नमस्ते अस्त्वायुधाय नादताय धृष्णवे उभाभ्यामुत ते नमो बाहुभ्यां तव धन्वने परिते धन्वनो हेतिरस्मान् वृणक्तु विश्वतः अधो यगिषुधिस्तवारे अस्मन्निधेहितम् नमस्ते अस्तु भगवन् विश्वेश्वराय महादेवाय त्रयम्बकाय त्रिपुरान्तकाय त्रिकाग्निकालाय कालाग्निरुद्राय नीलकण्ठाय मृत्युञ्जयाय सर्वेश्वराय सदाशिवाय श्रीमन्महादेवाय नमः नमो हिरण्यबाहवे सेनान्ये दिशाञ्च पतये नमो नमो वृक्षेभ्यो हरिकेशेभ्यः पशूनां पतये नमो नमः सस्पिञ्जराय त्विषीमते पथीनां पतये नमो नमो बभ्लुषाय विव्याधिने नानां पतये नमो नमो हरिकेशायोपवीतिने पुष्टानां पतये नमो नमो भवस्य हेत्यै जगतां पतये नमो नमो रुद्राय तथा विने क्षेत्राणां पतये नमो नमः सूताय हन्त्याय वनानां पतये नमो नमो रोहिताय स्तपतये वृक्षाणां पतये नमो नमो मन्त्रिणे वाणिजाय कक्षाणां पतये नमो नमो भुवन्तये वारिवस्कृताय औषधीनां पतये नमो नम उच्चैर्घोषाय क्रन्दयते पत्तीनां पतये नमो नमः कृष्णवेदाय धावते सत्त्वनां पतये नमः नमः सहमानाय निव्याधिन आव्याधिनीनां पतये नमो नमः ककुभाय निषङ्गिणे स्तेनानां पतये नमो नमो निषङ्गिण इषुधिमते तस्कराणां पतये नमो नमो वञ्जते परिवञ्जते स्तायूनां पतये नमो नमो निचेरवे परिचरायारण्यानां पतये नमो नमः सृगाविभ्यो जिगागुं सद्यो मुष्णतां पतये नमो नमो सिमध्यो नक्तं चरभ्य प्रगृन्तानां पतये नमो नम उष्णीषिणे गिरिचराय कुलुञ्चानां पतये नमो नम इषुमध्यो धन्वा आयुष्येभ्यश्च वो नमो नम आतन्वानेभ्यः प्रतिदधानेभ्यश्च वो नमो नम आयच्छभ्यो विसृजभ्यश्च वो नमो नमोऽस्यभ्यो विद्यभ्यश्च वो नमो नम आसीनेभ्यः शयानेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः स्वपद्भ्यो जाग्रद्भ्यश्च वो नमो नमः तिष्ठद्भ्यो धावद्भ्यश्च वो नमो नमः सभाभ्यः सभापतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो अश्वेभ्यो पतिभ्यश्च वो नमः नम आव्याधिनीभ्यो विविध्यन्तेभ्यश्च वो नमो नम उगणाभ्यस्त्रिगुंहतेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो गृत्सेभ्यो गृत्सपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो व्रातेभ्यो व्रातपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो गणेभ्यो गणपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो विरूपेभ्यो विश्वरूपेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो महद्भ्यः चुल्लकेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो रथेभ्यो रथेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो रथेभ्यो रथपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः सेनाभ्यः सेनानिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः क्षत्रुभ्यः संग्रहीतृभ्यश्च वो नमो नमस्तक्षभ्यो रथकारेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः कुलालेभ्यः कर्मालेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः पुञ्जिष्टेभ्यो निषादेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः इषुकृद्भ्यो धन्वकृद्भ्यश्च वो नमो नमो मृगयुभ्यः स्वनिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः श्वभ्यश्वपतिभ्यश्च वो नमः नमो भवाय च रुद्राय च नमः शर्वाय च पशुपतये च नमो नीलग्रीवाय च शितिकण्ठाय च नमः कपर्दिने च व्युप्तकेशाय च नमः सहस्राक्षाय च शतधन्वने च नमो गिरिशाय च शिबिविष्टाय च नमो मेढुष्टमाय चेषुमते च नमो ह्रस्वाय च वामनाय च नमो बृहते च वर्षेयसे च नमो वृद्धाय च समृद्धने च नमो अग्र्याय च प्रथमाय च नमः आशवे चाजिराय च नमः शीघ्रियाय च शीभ्याय च नमः ऊर्म्याय च वस्वन्याय च नमः श्रोतस्याय च द्वीप्याय च नमो ज्येष्ठाय च कनिष्ठाय च नमः पूर्वजाय च परजाय च नमो मध्यमाय च वगल्भाय च नमो जगन्याय च बुद्ध्याय च नमः सोऽभ्याय च प्रतिसर्याय च नमो याम्याय च क्षेम्याय च नमः उर्वर्याय च घल्याय च नमः श्लोक्याय च वसान्याय च नमो वन्याय च कक्ष्याय च नमः श्रवाय च प्रतिश्रवाय च नमः आशुषेणाय चाशुरधाय च नमः शूराय च वविन्दते च नमो वर्मिणे च वरोधिने च नमो बिल्विने च कवचिने च नमः श्रुताय च श्रुतसेनाय च नमो दुन्दुभ्याय च हनन्याय च नमो धृष्णवे च प्रमृषाय च नमो दूताय च प्रहिताय च नमो निषङ्गिणे चेषु धिमते च नमः तीक्ष्णेशवे चायुधिने च नमः स्वायुधाय च सुधन्वने च नमः श्रुत्याय च पथ्याय च नमः काट्याय च नीप्याय च नमः सूर्याय च सरस्याय च नमो नाद्याय च वैशन्ताय च नमः कूप्याय च वट्याय च नमो वर्ष्याय च वर्ष्याय च नमो मेघ्याय च विद्युत्याय च नमः इन्द्रियाय च तप्याय च नमो वात्याय च रेश्म्याय च नमो वास्तव्याय च वास्तुपाय च ॐ हर 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 ॐ नमः सोमाय च रुद्राय च नमः ताम्राय च रुणाय च नमः शङ्गाय च पशुपतये च नमः उग्राय च भीमाय च नमो अग्रे वधाय च दूरे वधाय च नमो हन्त्रे च हनीयसे च नमो वृक्षेभ्यो हरिकेशेभ्यो नमः ताराय नमः शम्भवे च मयो भवे च नमः शङ्कराय च मयस्कराय च नमः शिवाय च शिवतराय च नमः तीर्थ्याय च कोल्याय च नमः पार्याय च वार्याय च नमः प्रतरणाय चोत्तरणाय च नमः आर्याय च लाद्याय च नमः चष्प्याय च भेन्याय च नमः त्रिकत्याय च प्रवाह्याय च नमगिरिण्याय च प्रपत्याय च नमः किगुंशिलाय च क्षयनाय च नमः कपर्दिने च पुलस्तये च नमो रोष्याय च गृह्याय च नमस्तल्प्याय च गेह्याय च नमः काट्याय च गक्परेष्ठाय च नमो हृदयाय च निवेश्याय च नमः हरित्योलप्यसोर्ण्याय च वर्णछद्याय च नमो पगुरमाणाय च भिघ्नते च नम आखिदते च प्रखिदतेभ्यो देवान् हृदयेभ्यो नमो विक्षीणकेभ्यो नमो विजिन्वत्केभ्यो नमः आनिर्हतेभ्यः द्रापे अन्धलोहित एषा एषा मम शिवा विश्वाः मृडजीवसे एकपर्दिने क्षयद्वीराय द्विपदे पुष्पदे विश्वं पुष्टं ग्रामे अस्मिन्ननातुरम् मृडानो रुद्रोतनो मयस्कृते क्षयद्वीराय नमसा विधेमते यच्चञ्चयोश्च मनुरायजे पिता तदश्याम तव रुद्र प्रणीतो मानो महान्तमुतमानो अर्भकं मान उक्षन्तमुतमान उक्षितम् मानो वधे पितरं मोदमातरं प्रियामानस्तनुवो रुद्ररीरिषः मानस्तोके तनगे मान आयुषि मानो गोषु मानो अश्वेषु रीरिषः वीरान्मानो रुद्रभामितो वधेर्हविष्मन्तो नमसा विधेमते आरात्ते गोघ्नमुत पूरुषग्ने क्षयद्वीराय नमस्मे ते अस्तु रक्षाजनो अधिजदेव ब्रूयदा जनः शर्म यच्चद्विबर्हाः स्तुतिश्रुतं गर्तसदं युवानं मृगन्न भीममुपहत्नुमुग्रम् मृडाजरिद्रे रुद्रस्तवानो अन्यन्ते अस्मन्निव पन्तु सेनाः परिणो रुद्रस्य घेतिर्मृणक्तु परित्वेषस्य दुर्मदिरघायोः अवस्थिरामगवद्भ्यस्तनुष्वमीर्वस्तोकायतनयाय मृडया मीदु दृष्टमशिवतमशिवो नः सुमना भव परमे वृक्ष आयुधं निधाय कृत्यं वसानमाचर पिनाक बिभ्रदागहि विगिरित विलोहित नमस्ते अस्तु भगवः यास्ते सहस्रगुं नेदयोन्यमस्मन्निव बन्धुताः सहस्राणि सहस्रदा बाहुवोस्तव हेतयः तासामीशानो भगवः पराचीनामुखाकृते सहस्राणि सहस्रशो ये रुद्रा अधिभूम्या तेषागुं सहस्रयोजने वदन्वानि तन्मसे अस्मिन् महत्यर्णवेन्दरिक्षे भवा अधि नीलग्रीवाशितिकण्ठा सर्वा अधः क्षमाचराः नीलग्रीवाशितिकण्ठादिवगु रुद्रा उपश्रिताः ये वृक्षेषु सस्पिञ्जरा नीलग्रीवा विलोहिताः ये भूतानामधिपतयो विशिखास कपर्दिनः ये अन्येषु विविध्यन्ति पात्रेषु पिबतो जनान् ये पथाम्बतिरक्षय ऐलभृदायव्युदः ये तीर्थानि प्रचलन्ति शृगावन्तो निषङ्गिणः य एतावन्तस्य भूयागुंसश्च दिशो रुद्रावितस्तिरे तेषागुं सहस्रयोजने वदन्वानि तन्मसे नमो रुद्रेभ्यो ये पृथिव्यां येऽन्तरिक्षे ये दिवि ये शावन्नं वातो वरुषमिषवस्तेभ्यो दश प्राचेर्दश दक्षिणा दश प्रतीचेर्दशोदीचेर्दशोर्ध्वास्तेभ्यो नमस्ते नो मृडयन्तु तेयं विष्मो यस्य नो द्वेष्टितं वोजं मे ददामि त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् यो रुद्रो अग्नव्यो अप्सु य ओषधीषु यो रुद्रो विश्वा भुवनादिवेश तस्मै रुद्राय नमो अस्तु एते सहस्रमयुतं पाशा मृत्यो मत्याय हन्तवे तान् यज्ञस्य मायया सर्वानवयजामहे मृत्यवे स्वाहा मृत्यवे स्वाहा प्राणानां ग्रन्थिरसि रुद्रो मा विशान्तकः तेनान्येनाप्यायस्व नमो रुद्राय विष्णवे मृत्युर्मे पाहि तमुष्टुहि यस्सुषुषु धन्वायो विश्वस्य क्षयति भेषजस्य यक्ष्वा महेशो मनसाय रुद्रं नमो निर्देवमसुरन्दुवस्य अयं मे हस्तो भगवान् अयं मे भगवत्तरः अयं मे विश्वभेषजो यगुं शिवाभिमर्शनः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्यायेन मार्गेण महीमहीषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम् समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Om Sai Ram, invoking the blessings of our beloved Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Dear distinguished guests, respected elders, and fellow brothers and sisters, welcome to the morning darshan of Day 3 of the World Youth Festival 2016. Today, we will be focusing on the final component of Love is the Goal, and our sub-theme for today is Moments. On November 19th, 1980, Swami said, "In this gathering, people from many countries, speaking different languages and belonging to many races are present. They are all single-mindedly united in love for Sai and in love from Sai, despite differences in nationality, race, creed, color, or dress. This is my real task. This is the consummation of the yearnings of seers and sages of this land. Develop this oneness, this unity in love. Hold it ever before you as the ideal." What a marvelous time we have all been having so far. As we approach the final 24 hours of the World Youth Festival, let us dig deeper and truly relish this precious gathering. We will now commence with a speech by Mr. Brijesh Bamalwa. Brother Brijesh hails from Kolkata and is a consultant in public financial management. As a gifted author, he has scripted 5 dramas performed in the divine presence of Swami on auspicious occasions. The inaugural song for the convention of Sri Sathya Sai schools held in Prasanthi, Nilayam in 2010, for instance, was later blessed by Bhagavan to be the prayer songs for all the Sathya Sai schools in India. Trained as a Balika's guru, he organized and directed several dramas and cultural programs for the Sri Sathya Sai Balvikas. He currently serves as State Youth Coordinator for West Bengal, as a member of the National IT team, and as the National Youth Committee. Swami, with your blessings, please let us welcome Brother Brijesh Bamalwa.
Om Shri Sai Ram. I offer my most loving and prayerful pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Master, Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba. Distinguished guests, respected elders, dear brothers, sisters, and the Sai youth of the world. This World Youth Festival, as my sister was just speaking, is a unique occasion whereby the Sai youth from more than 70 countries have assembled at the lotus feet of a divine master to celebrate this festival of love. And dear brothers and sisters, this unity in such a diversity is not possible anywhere else except in the crucible of divine love and at the lotus feet of our beloved master, Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba. Dear brothers and sisters, the theme of this World Youth Festival is woven around love. Love is the source, love is the path, and love is the goal. Indeed, this love is the fundamental basis for the entire creation. And unleashing this power of love from within is what spirituality is all about when it permeates our thoughts, words, and deeds. This World Youth Festival, dear brothers and sisters, also conveys a very important message, not only to us, but to the entire youth fraternity of the world, that in the realm of spirituality, there is a lot of fun, there is a lot of joy, and plenty of excitement, as we have all witnessed in the past 2 days. Spirituality is not boredom, as most of the modern youth perceive it to be. They think that these values and principles are valid only in books and in theory. And that is why we find most of them hankering only after materialistic pursuits in life. And in this race, dear brothers and sisters, a rampant competition is on for success between each and every one. What then is our role? We, as the Sai youth, have to showcase to the entire world that it is not the competition with others, but the competition with our own selves in the endeavor of becoming a better person day by day. That is what is going to grant us the real success. And there cannot be any interesting competition than this. And that is what is also meant by being spiritual. We have to break this myth of misconceived spirituality in the minds of our young brothers and sisters. Dear brothers and sisters, the age span of 16 to 35 is very crucial. It is the time to invest and not to spend. And what could be a better investment than one which would secure our future for us and would also help us in realizing the true purpose of life? So let this World Youth Festival unveil a new era whereby the youth of this world would invest in a life that is on the path of truth, a life that is based on righteousness, a life that is full of love, a life whose essence is non-violence. Let this World Youth Festival bring in a new trend and a fashion to be adorned by our youth, which is designed on the principles of love all and serve all. And let this youth festival inspire all of us and the world to invest in the spiritual bond of love. But the question is, how do we go about this investment? And where do we start from? The key lies within our own selves, in our own human workshop, and that is our mind. Master the mind and be a mastermind, says Swami. But what is this mind? This mind is nothing but a bundle of thoughts. So the essence lies in controlling our thoughts. For what's your thoughts? They become your actions. What's your actions? They become your habit. What's your habit? They become your character. And what's your character? It becomes your destiny. So if our destiny has to be good, we have to invest. We have to invest in good thoughts. And how do we do it? What is the strategy? The strategy as given by Bhagavan is very simple, dear brothers and sisters. He says, try to achieve unity and purity in your thoughts, words, and deeds based on the principles of 3HV, the head, heart, and the hands. Every thought that emanates in our mind, before putting into action, must be approved by our heart. And if our heart does not approve of any action, any thought, we should not translate into action. And once we do this, dear brothers and sisters, our thoughts would be governed by our deeds, and our deeds would be governed by our thoughts. And when this cycle is kick-started, the required unity and purity is achieved automatically. And as a result, divinity follows suo moto. We don't have to rush after it. And thereby, love would then manifest in whatever we do. Because Bhagavan says, there is no reason for love. There is no season for love. Love is the only reason for love. And this love seeks no reward. It is its own reward. Therefore, Swami has always emphasized, love is God. God is love. Where love is, there God certainly is. Love more and more people. Love them more intensely. Transform love into service and transform service into worship. And once we do this worship of service, dear brothers and sisters, all other rituals become meaningless. And engendering these ideas requires a lot of courage and sacrifice. Nothing great can be achieved without sacrifice. It entails a great degree of transformation. Transformation in the way we think, transformation in the way we prioritize our lives. And this transformation, dear brothers and sisters, has to begin only from the youth, and primarily us who are sitting here. We have to first invest in this pursuit of life and showcase to the world that it is no fairy tale and it works in real life situations. And let me tell you a big secret, dear brothers and sisters. The best facilitator for going about this investment is the Sri Sathya Sai Seva organizations. The uniqueness of this organization is that this investment house does not charge any brokerage on your investments. And when you invest through this investment house, your investments are free from market risks. And what more? You get the desired, you get assured returns in times of need. And dear brothers and sisters, we, the Sai Youth of India, of Sri Sathya Sai Seva organizations in India, have all united together in one spirit and have committed ourselves to invest in this pursuit of transforming love into service by taking up a nationwide project called the Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Jyoti Project. This national development project focuses on development of 900 needy schools in villages and slums by providing a holistic learning environment blended with Swami's concepts of integral education. Education is an area which has been very close to Bhagwan and has received his most attention. And for any country's future and prosperity, education is the foundation. Even though 70% of children in India below 16 years live in villages, rural education has its own problems and issues. This project, dear brothers and sisters, focuses on addressing these issues in such needy schools by ensuring that the entire ecosystem in which the school operates is made congenial for proper learning and outcome of education. This requires and would require various tasks and activities impacting different stakeholders like children, teachers, parents, villagers, community, and policymakers that affect a child's schooling and development process. The approach of this project begins by energizing and sensitizing the stakeholders and then empowering them with the skills, capacity, and facilities, and also equipping them with the required infrastructure where lacking, and finally evolving into a stage where they become the self-sustaining temples of learning. And wonderfully, dear brothers and sisters, this project has set its vision as inspiring children by empowering schools. Swami has said, man is a limb of society, and man cannot exist in isolation from society. And that is why he always used to emphasize that the proper study of mankind is man. What does it mean? Essentially speaking, we have to become useful to the society and not only successful in our individual lives. And what is the difference between a successful person and a useful person? A successful person is one who takes more from the society than what he gives to it. And a useful person is one who gives more to the society than what he takes from it. And this project, dear brothers and sisters, is a step in this direction, whereby the youth of the nation realize this truth and also have a platform readily available to them to practice this fundamental essence of life. And as a gratitude to Bhagwan for his infinite mercy and grace and all that he has given, we dedicate this project at his divine lotus feet. Brothers and sisters, we, all of us who are sitting here, are fortunate enough to be chosen by the Lord himself to be his worthy instruments. If we do not realize the importance of this fortune and let it go in vain like this, How are we different from others? So let's gird up our loins and assimilate the required courage from within and embark on the path of sacrifice and be an example of love and service to the world at large. We should be and must be the change that we want to see in the world. I know we all feel motivated and excited, but the key is to sustain this motivation in the long run. I remember Swami used to give this example that your excitement and motivation is just like the fizz of a Coca-Cola bottle, which springs up instantly and also subsides instantly the moment the shaking is stopped. Let us not be like that. And let me remind you that on this path, it is not going to be an easy sail. There are going to be a lot of problems and obstacles that will come our way. And what are the problems, dear brothers and sisters? In the word problems, P-R-O-B-L-E-M-S stands for purposeful roadblocks offering beneficial lessons, enhancing mental strength. So these problems are nothing but an opportunity granted by him. Swami's clarion call to the youth, dear brothers and sisters, is, I want you to be the leaders of the world. So let us take this World Youth Festival and resolve to march ahead on the chosen path and be the instrument in his divine hands. When man has given up humanity, it's the call of eternity. Sai youth in Sai era should play the role of divinity. Jai Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Brijesh, for this message of love through transformation in service. It is now my pleasure to invite Mr. Julio Vivenes, the Zonal Youth Coordinator for Zone 2B, to share a few words. Born in Caracas, Venezuela, he was raised in a family of Sai devotees, where he always felt fortunate to be immersed in Sai's fold. He holds a bachelor's in science from Camoruco School in Valencia, Venezuela, a vocal degree from the Ordarte Music School of Venezuela, also a degree in theater performance from the Ateneo of Valencia in Venezuela. He currently works in the sale and distribution of medical supplies to government institutions. Having a passion for sports, he was trained in the martial arts of Shokotan Karate and teaches at the International Association Schools of Karate and Aikido. Without further ado, Swami, please guide us in welcoming Mr. Julio Vivenes.
I offer these words to the divine lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagavan, Sri Sathya Sai Baba. I thank you, beloved Swami, for having given me this sacred opportunity. I love you, Swami. Loved and respected elders, Dr. Reddy, Chairman of Prasanthi Council, members of the World Foundation, members of Prasanthi Council, brothers and sisters, Jai Sai Ram. Today, I have the honor to share some personal experiences about faith and omnipresence with our most beloved Swami. Our beloved Bhagavan has declared that the first quality every member of the Sathya Sai organization should have is firm faith in God. This faith must be based on the awareness that God is omnipresent. In His infinite love, Sai Baba began to perform wonderful leelas in our family, filling our hearts with faith and hope. When I was 4 years old, I felt seriously ill with meningitis. My fever was so high and the illness so advanced that doctors at the hospital doubted I could survive more than 2 or 3 days, and if I did survive, I would be left with permanent brain damage. My parents were completely devastated. Doctors said only a miracle could save me. So my parents began to pray intensely to Sai Baba with absolute faith, chanting Om Sai Ran for hours until sunrise, placing vibhuti all over my body. And the next morning, they were surprised to observe my fever had fallen. The doctors also questioned what happened and began new tests and checkups. And suddenly, the disease had simply disappeared. Doctors could not believe what they had just seen and had no explanation. That same day, the doctors at the medical board fully accepted that my case was a miracle. Thank you, Swami. Soon after, an elderly man dressed in a Santa Claus suit entered the room where my parents and I were in the hospital, handed a piece of candy, and blessed us with his hand without speaking. The Lord, with this mysterious face and deep eyes full of love, left the room, just left the room. My father opened the door just behind to thank the man, but he was not there. My father went to the nurse's station, located right in front of my room, to ask about the Santa Claus and to thank them for the kind gesture. But to his surprise, the nurses told him they did not know who he was talking about and that no one had entered my room. At least not dressed like Santa Claus. My father could not believe it. So he returned immediately to the room and looked out the window of the room that faced an avenue in the city. And there was the Santa, who had gave us the candies, greeting my father from afar, and then he disappeared. We were all surprised, and it was not until my father saw a picture of Shirdi Sai Baba that he realized who that mysterious Lord was. Thank you, Swami. Just great, pure love. Sai is omnipresent, infinite love, present here all the time. We feel touched, loved, and blessed by His presence. He's always been, always will be with us, in us, above us, below us, and around us, leading us to experience the divine and true reality that we are one and the same supreme love. I want to share another wonderful experience with Sai, developed over several years, where we witness His infinite love and omnipresence. It all started in the year 2000 on April 12th, in the birthday of my older sister. That day, she was with her 2 friends coming out of the office building where she worked. They decided to create some memories of that day and began to take some pictures with her friend's camera. You know, in those days, the cameras were still using film rolls. So they took some pictures, some photos outside the building. A few days later, the friend who owned the camera called my sister to come over and receive the developed photographs and mentioned he had a question to ask her. When she arrived, he showed her picture of her car in the background and asked her who was the guy in the photo. And guess who it was? It was our beloved Swami, appearing sitting as a passenger in the back seat of my sister's car. My sister had no words to explain to her friends who it was. She said to him, he was a holy man in India who our family prayed to. Well, the friend gave the photo to my sister, but only the photo and not the negative. A couple of years later, precisely in 2002, I traveled here to Prasanthi, Nilayam. One July afternoon, during a wonderful interview with Swami, I asked Swami on several things that had nothing to do with this miracle photo, when suddenly the photo came to my mind. I immediately said aloud, "Swami, did you appear in the photo?" And he immediately burst into a big smile, saying, "Yes, yes, inside the car of your sister, you know that Swami is everywhere." And then he continued laughing. I laughed with him, and what a wonderful way to confirm his omnipresence. Thank you, Swami. But in 2005, one of my cousins came to Prasanthi Nilayam carrying letters from everyone in my family. My sister had included that same photo. My mother said to her, "The photo is a gift from Baba, and you should have it and preserve it." But my sister insisted that she wanted to send it back to Swami. Okay, so my cousin gave Swami the letters. In 2007, in preparation for the World Youth Conference, youths were asked to share stories and experience for a publication that will be released at the conference. My sister felt sorry, very sorry, that she didn't have the picture anymore. So the youth conference was just amazing, wonderful. Finally, my sister began writing letters to Swami asking him to return the photo. It was so funny. Oh, Sairam. One fine day after we returned to our country in South America, Venezuela, my sister was looking for something in the closet of her room. Lo and behold, the picture was there right on top of the content of the box. My sister was astonished. On top of that, as a confirmation, very important confirmation of Swami, from Swami, my mother had a dream with Sai in which he said, "I have already returned the photo to her to share it with everyone." The love of Sai melted our hearts completely. The photo was framed and is currently placed in our Sai Center in Valencia, Venezuela, for anyone who wishes to see it. Sairam. Was just wonderful. And to finish, I will mention one more experience which was very powerful to me. During the World Youth Conference in 2007, 18 youths from different countries, including myself, were handpicked by Swami for an interview, in which he gave us an orange robe to each of us, indicating that it was a symbol of his presence and his constant guidance in our lives. I remember that wonderful moment. I remember you, dear Shitu, with us, leading us. And I must tell you that this loving gesture of Swami has developed in my heart the necessary faith and confidence to walk without hesitation towards the goal of life, which is completely within our reach due to Sai's grace, so that we may really love and serve all and experience infinite bliss and happiness all the time, living in unity with the eternal God love, Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Jai Sai Ram.
Thank you, Brother Julio, for a heartfelt and inspiring message about faith in Swami's omnipresence in our everyday lives. It is now my honor to invite Dr. Chandrasekhar Narayan to address us about the impact of practicing the timeless virtues Swami spoke of and showed by example. Dr. Narayan is presently the Director of Science and Technology at IBM Research in Almaden, San Jose, California. He is responsible for both fundamental and applied research and is a leader in managing innovation. He is responsible for driving materials innovation in the areas of water, energy, environment, and healthcare. Previously, Dr. Narayan has held several research and management positions in IBM at both the Almaden and Watson Research Laboratories and has received many awards for his technical contributions. In addition of being a master inventor within IBM Research, he has over 50 US patents to his credit and is a member of IBM's Academy of Technology. Dr. Narayan earned his Bachelor of Technology in Metallurgy from the Indian Institute of Technology. He also completed a Master of Science and PhD in Metallurgy and Materials Engineering from Lehigh University in America. Dear Swami, we would like to invite Dr. Narayan to address us.
Om Sai Ram. My pranams to Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba and the elders in the audience, and greetings to brothers and sisters, and especially the greetings to the Youth Festival attendees. I would like to begin by thanking the Sathya Sai International Organization and the organizers of the Sathya Sai World Youth Festival for inviting me to speak at this energizing event. I am indeed humbled. I have had the good fortune of seeing the proceedings in the last 3 days, starting with the graduation of the youth leaders, and I'm in awe of the harmony and energy that the youth are bringing to this festival today. Perhaps the youth organization should be a model for the United Nations. I think we'll do a much better job than them. So today I was asked to speak about the pursuit of a successful career without compromising one's values and beliefs. So today the focus of my talk would be more along the lines of career growth and less about personal life experiences per the request of the organizers, keeping in mind the value and the role of values and beliefs that we bring to the workplace as well. I was born in Chennai and grew up in many parts of India. Much of my schooling was in very small government schools in remote areas with little to no access in any of the facilities that is normal for most children going to city schools those days and certainly today. However, I was fortunate enough of being educated by gifted teachers, or in other words, gurus, which brings me to the importance of a guru and a teacher in your early life. Very, very important. I cannot overemphasize the importance of a motivated teacher in your early life. And I'm really excited to see such large attendance from the youth from all over the world, because here is an example of how you youth have had the guiding hand of Sai Baba in very early in your life. And this plays a very important role in shaping your values and beliefs as you go forward in your life. You guys are truly gifted and chosen, and please don't forget that. While this audience is an exception, not all youth in a global setting are as fortunate as you or I to have a guiding hand early in your life. And this is an important point to remember in the workplace, as the talk today is going to focus a little bit on values and in the workplace. In addition to having gifted teachers, I also grew up in a home where I was exposed to teachings of many learned gurus and attended dozens of discourses and divine lectures on Gita and other spiritual writings. This was further augmented by listening to numerous and countless stories from our epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata. And I'm sure all of this broad exposure to spiritual writings and listening to stories left an indelible mark in my brain and shaped my values and beliefs and morals. Many of you in this audience, I'm sure, have had the same good fortune of being exposed to the teachings of Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba and share those same morals and values. I'm indeed very happy to see that such a large group of youth have benefited from the teachings of Sai Baba, especially in your youth. After high school, I was fortunate enough to join IIT, where I did my 5-year, in those days it was 5-year program, and then went on to do my graduate school in the US, like the introduction said. Upon graduation, I joined IBM as a young, eager research scientist, and to this day, 33 years later, I'm still with the company, although in a slightly different capacity. My early years were spent researching many different interesting problems. However, very early in my career, I wanted to work on things that would be useful. This is very similar to the teachings of Baba. He talks about education is not useful till you can use it for something good for mankind. So I was very conscious of the fact that whatever education I had gathered over the years, I have to put it to some useful end. And that was one of the goals with which I kind of looked at my career within the company as I started. I later moved into management where I could influence a larger body of work and eventually moved to our California lab in an executive capacity, managing over 100 PhDs and pursuing exploratory and applied research. During my journey, however, I never lost track of the importance of doing useful work. And this is very much in line with what Baba has always preached, is make education useful to mankind. During the rest of this talk, I will attempt to weave in my personal experiences as I progress through my career within the company, paying attention to upholding values and doing the right thing. And this is not always easy. This brings me to the topic for this talk today, where I would like to share my thoughts with you on a subject that most of us will grapple with at some point in our lives, is the pursuit of a successful career, i.e. success in your career, and the art of holding on to one's values and beliefs. I use the word art deliberately because most things in life, as you have already noticed, are not black and white, but many, many subtle shades of gray. And the many, many, many forks you have to take in life have sometimes no obvious or clear right or wrong answers. This is where all of the teachings that you have benefited from at the feet of the Lord will help you. You have to listen to the spiritual messages that you have gathered over the years and use them to help you make decisions in these many forks, because otherwise the decisions are not that easy to make. Successful career and values seem orthogonal to many people. In fact, some of the people asked me what I was going to talk about here today. When I told them about success in your career and values, they said, oh, those two things don't go together. And this seems to be the perception about many people outside this arena. What you will find is, even though at an ad hoc level, it might seem that succeeding and maintaining your values are at discord, but as you dissect the challenge and get into the specifics, one can begin to get some clarity into these questions. You should draw on your teachings you have benefited from at the feet of Baba, and use those teachings to really help you make the small decisions in life, which will eventually be the big decisions down the road. This topic of values and career is a very fertile topic, not because the question is whether you should uphold them, of course you should, but rather how and at what cost do you uphold values. This is the debate that goes on around you on a day-to-day basis in your work life. It's a very multidimensional topic, and I'm sure there are countless ways in which we can address it, limited only by the number of people attempting to do it. So what I thought to do today is I'll touch on 3 concepts. And the reason why I picked just 3 in the interest of time is I'm hoping that those 3 topics are things that you can actually try to practice in your career as well. So concrete things that you can actually attempt to do. So I picked 3 of those to share with you today. However, before getting into the crux of the matter in terms of describing concrete actions one could take, at the root of this discussion is the underlying assumption that we all have similar values and beliefs that we hold dear or would like to hold dear. But as you embark in your career in the world, you will find that this is not necessarily the case. The values and beliefs that we hold dear to us are not necessarily the same values and beliefs that other people in other communities and countries and cultures necessarily have. You may be lucky to come across people that do, but also be prepared to come across people who don't share the same values and beliefs, and this is where the challenge in the workplace starts to happen. Values and beliefs for many don't have absolute definitions, but rather concepts that each of us develops through childhood, and it's probably fair to say firmly in place by the time you have reached your early adulthood. However, in the world around us, our paths will cross with those that have very different upbringings. The beauty and also the challenge is that these values, even though different for each one of us, is a product, and it's a product of their upbringing and environment. This is an important perspective to digest because as you embark in your career, you will confront people with very different beliefs and who will act according to the beliefs that they have grown up with. This brings me to my first point. First point is do not rush to judge others. As little as 50 or 60 years ago would be the generation of your grandparents and the generation of my parents, most of the people grew up in villages and small towns, surrounded by people that looked a lot like them and was fair to assume had values and beliefs that were uniform across the cross-section of people that they had to deal with in their day-to-day lives. However, in my generation, people left their villages and some left their countries to pursue a career and an education in some cases. And my generation learned the notion of different values and beliefs of being thrust into situations in different lands and different cultures. And we had to learn firsthand by experiencing this kind of differences in values and beliefs in our careers. The beauty, however, was that the people that had slightly different values and beliefs, they too were smart, they too were bright, and that was the first realization for me that there are many ways to solve a problem as long as you stick to your basic values and beliefs. For today's youth, the story is again quite different. Because the world is flat, is a phrase coined by Thomas Friedman, as you know, and connected through social media, you're literally amidst people with very different upbringing and consequently potentially with very different value systems as early as in your teen years, right? You see in Facebook and in TVs and in movies all the different cultures playing out in different ways. So when you travel the world and interact with colleagues across the globe, you are no longer being thrust into radically new situations like our generation was, because thanks to social media. In some sense, this is an advantage for the millennial generation today. However, for the youth of today, when I say it is important not to be judgmental in any situation and rush to conclude that someone else did something wrong, because it is entirely likely that you do not know that person's values and beliefs, and which is why they acted like they did. Even if you think you do not always know what life experiences that person has gone through that shaped their thinking. And the beauty of life experiences, it starts to impact your beliefs at a very, very young age. Let me give you an example. One of my colleagues, about 15 years ago, adopted 2 children from another country. They were siblings by birth, and so he brought the 2-year-old and the 3-year-old home to the US. And when they sat down for their first meal in their house and they served food on the plates of these 2 children, 2-year-old and 3-year-old, both the children put their arms around the plate and covered the food with their bodies. The parents were extremely puzzled. What's going on? Then they called up the orphanage from where they adopted the kids, and they were told that it was customary in that country for older children to steal food from the plates of the young children. So as early as 2 years old, the children had developed a belief system that they must protect their food, and they acted on it. This is how important the inculcation of values at a very early age is. no age is too early to start teaching children about values in life. And that's why Bala Vikas and all of the opportunities that you have had are extremely important in shaping your life. Don't ever forget that. In the West, there is a saying, first impression is the best impression. I happen to completely disagree with this notion, and I'll share my thoughts on why that is. Because the definition of first impression and best impression is the best impression is actually rushing to judge others. And this is exactly what you should resist from doing, is judging others too quickly. Let me give you two examples that I had in the workplace. I was looking for a manager who could tackle a very tough technical problem. And there was a person that came highly recommended to me as being an innovator and very innovative person. And so I had my first discussion with this gentleman. We sat down and I described to him in great detail the technical problem that we were trying to solve. And after about 15 minutes of complex description, he started asking me questions from which it was very evident that he had not understood a single thing. And I was getting ready to judge him as this being totally inappropriate candidate for this position when I said, let me control myself, let me think this through a little bit more. And over lunch that day, he explained to me that his brain did not have the capacity to create a three-dimensional image from words. The only way he could see a complex problem is through images, not from words. Then we went back to my office after lunch, and I drew on a piece of paper or on the board, I don't remember, explained to him what the problem was, and within about a minute, 10 innovative solutions came forward. If I had rushed to judge this person after my first meeting, I would have lost the ability to have access to such innovative people in my life. Let me give you a second example, which is a life experience example in the workplace. There was another instance where I was looking for a manager who could help me tackle some very interesting challenges with opinions that were contrary to mine. I was looking for contrary opinions to help me in my job. So as usual, somebody recommended one of the people in my organization, and I had a discussion with him. I kind of started to talk about the challenge I was having and my views on it, and asking for his views. All this gentleman did was say yes, nodded, and didn't say a single word, and left my office. And once again, I was getting ready to rush to judge this person as being totally inappropriate for this job that I had in mind for him. 2 hours later, one of my colleagues came into my office and told me that this gentleman's father had died that morning, and he was in shock, which is why his behavior was what it was when I spoke to him that morning. I felt extremely bad. I went back to him in a couple of days, offered my condolences, and a few days later had the same conversation with him, and he was a completely different person. Very important not to rush to judgment of people that you come across in your workplace, and this is true in life in general. So first impression is the best impression is not what I would actually expound on. The second topic that I want to talk to you about is long-term goals versus short-term goals. At some level, it might seem that this topic has no correlation to values, right? But what I have found that is actually very, very connected to our behavior and our values, and I'll kind of share my thoughts on why I think that is the case. So what do I mean by long-term goals? I'm not referring to goals like securing an education, taking care of your parents or your family, or saving for retirement. These are life goals. I'm referring to long-term career goals. So these are what you want to be 10 years from now, 15 years from now in your company, in your corporation, in your startup, in your career, whatever it might be. It is these long-term goals that you have to create to achieve them. So many of you in this audience are in your early career stage and mostly done with your education and have started in your careers. In this context, long-term goals would be exactly what you're thinking in terms of 10 years out. Many will argue that such long-term goals are key, and many mentors, career mentors, will advise you that you need to have long-term career goals to have a clear vision for your future. I have found that this is not necessarily good advice, and I'll share with you why I think long-term goals may not necessarily be a path that many of us can choose. So I want to give you another option as well. Why do I take this contrary viewpoint on long-term goals in your career? It has a lot to do with one's behavior when constrained by desire to achieve a long-term goal. It is only when you have a specific long-term goal that the notion of achieving it at all costs becomes a mantra. If you didn't have that long-term goal, you wouldn't be thinking about compromising your values to attain a goal. This is precisely when three clear, less than optimal behaviors come to the forefront. One, you will be tempted to compromise your values to attain a goal, because anytime you see a shortcut to get to your goal, there's a temptation to get to it. The notion of beating others to it creates a sense of unhealthy competition. And the third one is there is an element of expectation. The moment you say long-term goals, there is expectation associated with it. And yesterday we heard when VVS Lakshman was giving his talk, Swami advised Mr. Lakshman that these expectations are clouding your thought. So long-term goals will create expectations, expectations will cloud your thought. And this is why I feel long-term goals sometimes not necessarily the right approach in your career for many of us. It may work for some, but not necessarily for all of us. What then is the alternative? So that would be short-term goals. And what do I mean by short-term goals? Short-term goals means being completely dedicated to the job at hand, doing an absolutely excellent job at hand. And this is exactly what Baba also teaches, is excelling at the job at hand. So short-term goals in my definition is, in addition to being dedicated to the job at hand, you have to keep an eye out for opportunities and then take the necessary risk along with the opportunities that are afforded to you. The strange thing about opportunity is it always comes in your peripheral vision. Opportunities never come in your central vision. And this is the beauty of opportunities, right? The moment you have long-term goals, you have tunnel vision for your opportunities. And so all of the key opportunities that come your way are necessarily not even being seen by you because they are in your peripheral vision. And this is another reason why short-term goals of complete dedication to your job and looking out for opportunities is another alternative path to success in your career. I personally fall into the short-term career goals category and not the long-term goals. When you compare long-term versus short-term, the comparison is expectation, which clouds your mind, versus surrender. Surrender is the lower stress, easier way to go through life and achieve success in your career than getting bogged down in a career goal and having to compromise your values to attain it. There are some interesting sayings from some famous people. One by Ayn Rand, it says, and she said, "A creative man is motivated by the desire to achieve, not by the desire to beat others." Very much in line with short-term goals and not long-term goals. Aristotle, going way back in time, said quality is not an act, it is a habit. And I think this is what also the Bhagavan teaches. Quality should be a habit in all of you. You have to excel in the jobs that we are handed to us. And the third one is by Henry David Thoreau, an American writer and a philosopher, and it's very, very telling and should be an exemplar way to look at short-term goals. Success usually comes to those who are too busy to be looking for it. This will happen only if you have short-term goals. It will never happen to you if you have long-term goals. So in my case, I experienced this very clearly during my mid-career when I was working in our New York lab, and out of the blue was an opportunity to move to California in a different capacity. If I sat down and analyzed the situation, we had to uproot our family from where the kids were born and grew up, the activities they were involved in sporting events, and the music events, and my wife was working in that area at that time. The children were approaching high school age. So if you did the mathematical computation, I should never have moved. But opportunity, like I said, comes from strange areas, and sometimes there is a guiding hand that tells you you just have to take it. You have to listen to your heart. And that's what I did, and it changed the course of my career in the company because I made that very small decision, at that time seemed very big, of just choosing opportunity versus the goal that I had earlier in life. So I'm very convinced that short-term goals are the way to go and will give you path to success. That brings me to the third point. And the third point is getting out of your comfort zone. So what I have seen is as you get into your job and you get into a specific role in your job, you start getting comfortable with your coworkers. You start enjoying your boss's attitude and his opinions or her opinions. And you get lulled into a false sense of security because everything seems to be working well. Your skills are being utilized and you're developing skills and you're getting better at it. And you get into what we call a comfort zone. Typically, this takes about 2 to 3 years after you enter a role in a specific organization. And that is exactly when you need to change. You need to move on to something that takes you out of your comfort zone into an area where you know a little bit less. And why is this important? It has many different manifestations, but the point that I want to make here in terms of values is it is the only way in which you can remain humble. And the reason why I'm saying that is when you move out of your comfort zone into a job where you know much less than others around you, you have to learn from others. There is no better mechanism to remain humble than always having to learn from others. And you will find that after you move into your new role, in 1 or 2 years, you will start excelling in that as well. And once you have excelled in that, it's time to move on. This is how humility can play a big role in your career success as well. So let me finish by reiterating the 3 points that I hope that you have a chance to practice when you go back to your jobs. Do not rush to judge others. Give them time to prove themselves. Long-term goals versus short-term goals. Please go and think about what might be the better option for you to think about as you think about your next steps. And remember to get out of the comfort zone and always stay on the learning curve and be humble to your fellow workers. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.
Thank you kindly, Dr. Narayan. Your words remind us of the emphasis of Swami on love, strong work ethic, as well as a willing, selfless spirit. Thank you once more for addressing us today. We will now be having a musical performance of the theme song in Hindi by our brothers and sisters of India.
सबसे बांटो प्रेम तुम, भर लो आनंद से अपना हृदय।
सेवा और बात प्रेम से, सोचो जियो प्रेम से, यही साई का संदेश है। सेवा और बात प्रेम से, सोचो जियो प्रेम से, यही साई का संदेश है।
प्रेम है हमारा उत्सव, जीवन की जो हमारा उत्सव। प्रेम है हमारा उत्सव, जीवन की जो हमारा उत्सव। हमारे लिए सबसे अच्छा है जो अनिर्बंध प्रेम सच्चा है,
सच्चा है। सबसे बांटो प्रेम तुम, भर लो आनंद से अपना हृदय।
बदले चाहे दिन मौसम हृदय खुश हो तो गाएगा वतन। पर्वतिया जंगल रेगिस्तान हो या पर जाओ कहीं भी हो प्यार का चलन।
प्रेम है हमारा उत्सव, जीवन भी दो हमारा उत्सव, क्योंकि साई हमारे साथ साथ है, दिव्य साई प्रेम हमेशा साथ है।
तुम्हारे सबसे अच्छा है जो अनिर्बंध प्रेम सच्चा है।
सबसे बांटो प्रेम तुम, भर लो आनंद से अपना हृदय।
संकल्प हम करें कुछ भी हो जाए, खुश रहेंगे क्या रहेंगे। चाहते हैं साई के हम उनकी दिखाई राह पर चलते ही जाएं।
प्रेम है हमारा उत्सव, जीवन भी तो हमारा उत्सव, छूले आसमां दिखा दे जग को, साई प्रेम ही हमारा लक्ष्य है। उपहार ये सबसे अच्छा है जो अनिर्बंध प्रेम सच्चा है। सबसे बांटो प्रेम तुम, भर लो आनंद से अपना हृदय। मंगलदायक हे गणनाथा,
मंगलदायक हे गणनाथा,
मंगलदायक हे गणनाथा,
मंगलदायक हे गणनाथा,
प्रणव स्वरूपा विघ्न विनाशा,
प्रणव स्वरूपा विघ्न विनाशा,
प्रणव स्वरूपा विघ्न विनाशा,
प्रणव स्वरूपा विघ्न विनाशा,
हे शिवनंदन पाहि दयाला,
हे शिवनंदन पाहि दयाला,
हे शिवनंदन पाहि दयाला,
हे शिवनंदन पाहि दयाला,
पार्थिपुरीश्वर जगत परिपाला,
पार्थिपुरीश्वर जगत परिपाला,
पार्थिपुरीश्वर जगत परिपाला,
पार्थिपुरीश्वर जगत परिपाला,
प्रणव स्वरूपा विघ्न विनाशा,
प्रणव स्वरूपा विघ्न विनाशा,
प्रणव स्वरूपा विघ्न विनाशा,
प्रणव स्वरूपा विघ्न विनाशा,
मंगलदायक हे गणनाथ,
परिपाला
प्रणव स्वरूपा विघ्न विनाशा
प्रणव स्वरूपा
विघ्न विनाशा प्रणव स्वरूपा विघ्न विनाशा प्रणव स्वरूपा विघ्न विनाशा मंगलदायक हे गणनाथा
ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरे नाम साई तेरे नाम
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 सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई राम सत्य साई राम
धर्म प्रिय साई राम सत्य साई राम
अल्लाह साई मौला साई
अल्लाह साई मौला साई
यीशु बुद्ध साई है महावीर साई
यीशु बुद्ध साई हे महावीर साई
यीशु बुद्ध साई है महावीर साई
यीशु बुद्ध साई हे महावीर साई
गोविंद साई गोपाल साई नानक साई
गोविंद साई गोपाल साई नानक साई
हे गोविंद साई गोपाल साई नानक साई
गोविंद साई गोपाल साई नानक साई
सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई राम सत्य साई राम
सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई राम सत्य साई राम
अल्लाह साई मौला साई
अल्लाह साई मौला साई
अल्लाह साई मौला साई
अल्लाह साई मौला साई
ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरे नाम साई तेरे नाम
अल्लाह तेरे नाम साई तेरे नाम
सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई राम सत्य साई राम
सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई राम सत्य साई राम
अल्लाह साई मौला साई
अल्लाह साई मौला साई
यीशु बुद्ध साई है महावीर साई
यीशु बुद्ध साई हे महावीर साई
गोविंद साई गोपाल साई नानक साई
गोविंद साई गोपाल साई नानक साई
सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई राम सत्य साई राम
सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई राम सत्य साई राम
अल्लाह साई मौला साई
अल्लाह साई मौला साई
अल्लाह साई मौला साई
अल्लाह साई मौला साई
ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरे नाम साई तेरे नाम
हे कृष्णा हे कृष्णा
कृष्णा हे कृष्णा
हे कृष्णा हे कृष्णा
हे कृष्णा हे कृष्णा
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा
नंद किशोरा श्याम गोपाला
नंद किशोरा श्याम गोपाला
श्याम गोपाला मदन गोपाला
श्याम गोपाला मदन गोपाला
श्याम गोपाला मदन गोपाला
मदन गोपाला
श्याम गोपाला मदन गोपाला
श्याम गोपाला मदन गोपाला
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा
जय पांडुरंगा
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा
नंद किशोरा श्याम गोपाला
श्याम गोपाला
श्याम गोपाला मदन गोपाला
श्याम गोपाला मदन गोपाला
हे श्याम गोपाला मदन गोपाला
मदन गोपाला
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा
पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा
पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा
पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा
पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा
पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा
पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा
हे पांडुरंगा 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 पांडुरंगा
पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा
हे कृष्णा हे कृष्णा
ओम जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्त जना संरक्षक भक्त जना संरक्षक पति महेश्वरा ओम जय जगदीश हरे शशिवदना श्रीकरा सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते आश्रित कल्पलतिका आश्रित कल्पलतिका पावनपादवा ओम जय जगदीश हरे माता पिता गुरुदैव मर्यन्तयु नीवे स्वामी मर्यन्तयु नीवे नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नागेन्द्राशयना ओम जय जगदीश हरे ओंकार रूप ओजस्वी साई महादेवा सत्य साई महादेवा मंगल आरती अंदुको मंगल आरती अंदुको मंदर गिरिधारी ओम जय जगदीश हरे नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण जय सद्गुरुदेवा शांति 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 समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु शांति शांति शांति।
जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।